Howdy folks, Anastasia with Measure Square here, and for today's module, we will be talking about material layouts and transitions. So as you can see here, I have a partially populated floor plan with product, and there's a lot going on here. So let's talk about why layouts matter and then considerations to think about for layouts. So first things first, let's look for our largest area. So for that, it would be this huge wraparound corridor here. So the first thing to think of when you're thinking about layouts is what is going to be the highest traffic area. I'm going to assume that it's probably going to be this back corridor just because of the number of rooms that come off of it. So if we zoom in nice and tight, we can see by using the material grid here that on this edge, the tiles start at this transition and then bleed off. And there's a very, very minor cut, maybe not even at all, on this side of the wall. That being said, this is going to be the most ideal layout. Now, when you think about system settings, the system is always going to automatically lay the pattern with these dots centered in the space. Now that is relevant for floors or walls. It will automatically center that pattern position. And sometimes that works and sometimes that does not work. Let's talk about this area, for example. So this is a medical assistant station as noted by MA station. If we zoom in nice and tight, you can see by the product grid that there is a sliver cut on this side and there's also a sliver cut on this side. Now, if the architect has given you specific instruction on how they want this laid out, this may be perfect. But if we're talking about practical application and the installer going out and putting this in on their own, then more than likely what they're going to do is they're going to start with a full plank on one side or the other and then let it bleed off. As you can see, as I zoom out, there's obviously some sort of desk or filing cabinets along these walls. So if we have a cut underneath this desk, no one will ever walk on it. So let's go ahead and fix it. So first things first is we need to find pattern position. Now with me selected on a room and I choose pattern position, it's going to automatically illuminate that room. If you want to align rooms from room to room or just jump from one product to the next, the trick here is to right click, make sure you are not selected on any room, and then choose pattern position. When you are in the tool, notice that there is nothing automatically illuminated. So that's going to allow you to jump from room to room to room to room. So again, selected on nothing, we're going to choose pattern position. And I always recommend starting in a corner, right? So you have a full plank in one corner. And then we obviously know that this edge here is going to be a transition. So instead of having a teeny tiny piece here, I'm going to use my vertical crosshairs to align with the edge of the product grid. And then I'm going to click. That's going to move these full planks down. So the factory edge is along this transition where the direction changes. One thing I forgot to mention is directional arrows. If you have directional arrows given to you by the design team, it's very important to follow those. The reason that they give you those is because of the visual of the product, right? So when you see directional arrows and you have a plank type product, typically they are asking for the length of the product to follow these arrows. That's why we have this space with the arrow running north south, and we have therefore rotated this product. Now, how the heck do I rotate product? If you visit one of our previous videos, you will have the opportunity to understand how to use layout direction. But layout direction has some fun tools hidden in this little drop down here, switch layout direction. And if you choose just layout direction, you're allowed to draw a line that will align it to any one of those angles. Moving on. Again, choosing pattern position. Let's move over here to the stairwell. And I want to zoom in nice and tight so you can really see this. So again, the system will automatically align the pattern position with the center of the space. But for this 24 by 24 tile, you can see that there is a teeny tiny sliver of product here where the stairwell starts. And then there's also a teeny tiny sliver here where it goes into the hallway. So let's fix it. Pattern position, again, because I'm selected on the space, is going to automatically illuminate. And there's really two schools of thought here. One is you start the tile, right, on the edge of the stair, thinking that this is probably going to be the highest traffic area, which is this juncture here. But then the other school of thought is to put the full tile here up against the doorway, because obviously you're not going to make it to the stairwell without walking through the doorway first. So if there is any sort of confusion, ask your field team or ask your sales team on what their preference is, or if they know maybe how the client is going to want it to be laid. Okay. So moving on, let's look at this waiting space with this beautiful herringbone. So this is going to be a carpet tile. It's obviously laid in a herringbone style. We follow the directional arrows, so that way we know it's going to follow the architect's wishes perfectly. So if we zoom in nice and tight at this juncture, we can see there is a teeny tiny sliver of product here where this carpet meets the resilient tile. And then if I track over to the other side, we can see that there are some fairly maybe half planks up against where it meets the tile. But then if I go even closer, where we meet up with the reception, again, there is these teeny tiny slivers of product, which will be the reason why it matters is it's going to be very hard for the installer to get these teeny pieces cut as well as actually adhered to the floor. So the thought process is which space, be it reception or this corridor over here, which space is going to have more traffic? My thought is it's probably going to be this corridor over here with this glass partition. The reason why I think that is because over here becomes some clinical space. So while we are going to have a limited number of staff walking into the reception, potentially hundreds, right? Or at least several patients along with clinical staff are going to be using this glass door here. So let's talk about how we are going to align this product to make it make sense. So again, selected on the room or not, let me go ahead and deselect, clicking pattern position, moving our crosshairs into the space. I'm simply going to find the corner of where this wall meets the transition of product. Once I click there, you can now see that this, right, where most people are going to be walking is going to start with a full carpet tile plank, right? We're giving the opportunity for the most adherence to the floor, therefore the least number of failures. So let's check what that did to the opposite side. These again are still roughly half a plank. We're going to have to run with that. There's really not much we can do given the size of the room. But this here, right, we still have some really tiny slivers up against the reception. Again, there's just not much we can do with that. Given the size of the room, the size of the product, knowing we're going to have to lay this product plank to plank, there is no spacing like there would be for grout lines for tile. It's just the way it is. This is going to be the best layout we can do for this layout, meaning the install pattern that in which the product is laid and the size and shape of this room. So let's move into this reception area. If I zoom in nice and tight, you can see by looking at the product grid that I have a teeny tiny sliver up along this back wall here, and then a slightly larger sliver over here along the front desk area. Now, what makes sense? If you said that to align it along this back wall where there is no furniture, you would be correct. So by choosing pattern position, I'm going to choose again where the transition starts and along the back wall. And you can see that now where most folks are going to walk, these are going to be full planks or half planks, given again the install method in which this product is laid and where the walls lie. Now it results in maybe about a third of a plank, but this is going to be buried up under the desk where it's going to be very rare if anybody ever puts their feet on it. So this will be the best layout for this reception space. Next, we have the elevator lobby and lastly, the stair. So elevator lobby, this is a good size corridor lobby space. The entire space is a ceramic tile. It's a 12 by 24. It's running vertically because again of the arrows we were provided from the design team. And it's been laid in a 1/3 offset, which will follow our tile standards. Now, how will I lay this out? Notice along this edge where it meets the carpet, we have a cut row of tile. And then along this edge where it meets the resilient tile, there is another cut row of tile. So my best bet is this area is going to be far more traffic than this area. Now, why do I think that? Great question. It's because this is the reception. So as folks come up the elevator and then they go to the reception, then they're going to track over into the waiting area versus immediately going down into the hallway. They may go to this hallway, they may go to that hallway versus this one. So this is going to be my highest traffic space. Now, again, when you are thinking of the position, right? Where am I going to put my full tile? Where do I start my pattern? Always think of it as if you were going into this space and you were going to install this product yourself, meaning down on hands and knees, carrying this material. Where would I start? So again, I'm going to choose pattern position. I'm going to find this corner up against the reception desk, click. Now we have a full course of tile up against this transition. And if I move over to the other side, you can see that this is a teeny tiny sliver of product, but we may be able to get away with that with some sort of transition. So last, let's talk about this stair and its rubber tile. So again, the system will automatically center that. So we can do one of two things. We can either start the pattern here, right? This is where the steps go. So we can start it here. And that's actually pretty good with where the cuts lie along these back edges. But if we chose this corner, then we know that these two pieces in the actual doorway itself are going to be independent. That's not ideal. So instead, we're going to choose pattern position again, using the horizontal crosshairs to align with the product grid. And then we're going to just bump it over. So when the installer comes to install this tile, they will simply notch out the corner to allow for this corner and then let it bleed off. You can see that it makes these cuts significantly bigger, therefore allowing for more adherence to the actual subfloor. Alrighty. So we now have the corridor laid out, our medical assistant station laid out, the waiting room, reception, elevator lobby, stairwell, and stairwell all completely laid out. Let's talk about the last product that we have here, which is these rolled goods. As you can see, some of them have the full shot of product nearest the door with a fill piece at the back of the room, whereas others have the fill piece at the front of the room and then your big shot, your full shot of product at the back of the room. And then when you're talking about these side rooms, again, you have the full shot nearest the door or the seam right in the doorway. Now, which is correct? The thought process is always going to be the seam is a weak spot. And the more traffic that walks across it, it's going to be more chances of it breaking open, right? That weld between the two pieces of product, that weld may break open, therefore allowing moisture intrusion and all sorts of bad things. So the best practice when you are laying rolled goods is to grab all of the rooms where the seam is undesirable. And then under lock seam, there's a little drop down. And if you choose that drop down, you can switch seam side. That's going to automatically swap the large piece with your fill piece. So that way it's in perfect alignment with how the room is laid out. Now, one other piece I want to talk to for these rooms that we have populated. All of them have the larger piece, the full piece closest to the door. But it's because all of these rooms pretty much run in the same direction. But what about these two rooms where obviously they are very long and the product is running sideways into the room? Now that is an excellent question. One thought is all of the product, right? The rolled good of the same exact product should all be running in the same direction. If that works for your team, then that's the right way to go. But sometimes the client would like the product to run in the same direction for the room orientation. Now, what the heck do I mean by that? It means that the visual on the product, even in abstract, that when you are walking into this space, you are walking down the length of the product. So when you are then walking into a space where that product is rotated 90 degrees, right? You're walking across the width for these rooms. The visual will be slightly different. And of course, if you have a pattern on that product, it's going to be wildly different. So always check with your install team, check with your salespeople, maybe send an RFI to the design team asking them how this should be laid. And if none of those people are going to get back to you, you can always look up what the visual is on this product and make your decision, and then make sure, right? Make sure if you're going to change anything that you are communicating this to your sales team so that way that information can get back out to the install team. So with that, we are complete with our layouts. So next thing, I want to talk about transitions. Okay. So transitions should occur and most typically are noted in the plan sets for occurring at every change in dissimilar product. So even though sheet vinyl and LVT are both resilient products, they may have a thickness difference and would require some sort of transition at all of these doorways. Now, obviously, carpet to tile, that's going to be a huge one, right? So we're going to definitely need some sort of transition here. Same thing with tile to rubber. We know that's probably going to be a height change. So we need a transition there. Tile to LVT, same thing. We're going to need a transition there. But carpet to carpet. Now, carpet to carpet is a tricky one because if you don't know the thickness of both of these products, there may be a height difference. Maybe this reception area has a cushion backed product, therefore making it significantly thicker than the standard backing product that's here in the waiting room. You have to check these details. And, if you don't have time to verify, add one and label it carpet to carpet 1 to carpet 2. Carpet to LVT will always need a transition. Carpet to LVT will always need a transition unless the design team specifically says no transition required. Now, where it gets sort of tricky is these areas where you have the same product in two different orientations. There may be a need for a transition at the change of direction. You need to check with the design team or your plans to see if there is a transition required for this space. LVT to rubber. This will probably always require some sort of transition, if nothing more than to visually prepare the person that's walking into the stairwell that there's going to be a different product there. And even if these two products, right, carpet 1 and carpet 2, are the same product, just different colors, the client still may want a transition there just for, again, a visual barrier of this is the reception space, patients stay out of there, right? So always, if in doubt, reach out, right? Ask somebody. Send an RFI to your sales team. Send an RFI to the design team. Ask somebody. Don't necessarily omit it. If worst case scenario and you're not getting an answer back, capture it. It's much easier for the design team to ignore something, right? Omit it from their pricing than it is for them to come back to you and bother you when you're working on something else to ask them for a simple transition. So talking about transitions and then talking about layouts, we have successfully discussed different layouts, right? Install methods, meaning install patterns. We've talked about different products. We've talked about different ways to think of installing these products so we can figure out how to start or where to start our pattern position, as well as why transitions are required. It's not just something aesthetic. Now, sometimes it is, but most of the time it's for a practical use, which is a difference in height between materials. In our next session, we are going to talk about underlayments under all sorts of different products, as well as communicating waste to our team, right? To the sales team, to the install team, how to effectively communicate that to everyone else. So stick around and we'll see you soon.